This is Salzberg. Until the mid-1800s, it was a self-contained nation ruled by its own Prince Archbishop. Now it's part of Austria, and justifiably proud of its culture and heritage. It's one of the oldest cities in Europe, and surely one of the prettiest. Salzburg nestles beside the Salza River at the foot of the Austrian Alps. Salza is German for salt, and it gave rise to Salzburg name when the town began exporting the precious commodity about 2,000 years ago. Our guide was Maria Altendorfer.
It goes back to the Romans, indeed also back to former times, you know, to the Iron Time and Bronze Time. But we have many things from the Roman time. It was about 200 years after Jesus Christ.
Salzburg is rich in Roman history, kept alive through the centuries by the Prince Archbishops who ruled the city and surroundings as an independent state until last century. When the church lost its authority, Salzburg lost its political importance and now lives on tourism. And what brings tourists here? The memory of this man, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, one of the all-time musical geniuses. Salzburg is his birthplace, and his childhood home is a mecca for music lovers.
Mozart is our most important son, and we are lucky that he was born here.
Half a million visitors come here every year to see what is now a Mozart museum. The director is Wolfgang Amadeus.
But we have a lot of paintings, with almost all the painting during lifetime of Mozart.
I see you've got one here of when he was a young genius at age.
The 6-year-old Mozart in a special dress he got from the Emperor Maria Theresia for a concert he made there. This was his first real big public appearance.
And he amazed everyone at the time and continued to amaze people right through his whole life.
Yes, if you think about the short life he had, it was an incredible life, and it was an incredible short life with an enormous amount of work he did. This is his piano he played in the last years in Vienna, and it has a wonderful sound.
This music was recently recorded on this piano, duplicating the wonderful sounds emanating from within these walls during the 18th century. There are also Mozart's violins, and the clavichord he played, certified as such in Mozart's mother's handwriting. The historic street outside, the Getreidegasse, understandably capitalizes on the fact that Mozart wandered around here as a boy. But it's also a worthwhile tourist attraction, with the old signs a fascinating highlight showcasing the crafts and skills from long ago. Even here, in the heart of European civilization, is a McDonald's. But the Austrians made the multinational giant toe the line aesthetically before it was allowed the privilege of opening at this lucrative location. McDonald's won a small victory, though. In the middle of the historic wrought iron sign, are little golden arches. The old fort overlooking Salzburg is a tour in itself, but something special and enchanting happens here at sunset, when Salzburg is at its most beautiful. In an intimate room at the top of the battlements, you can hear the fine music of Mozart and other great composers like Haydn. I know we have concerts like this in Australia, but somehow these surroundings seem to enhance the sound of music.
The hills are alive with the sound of music.
And Salzburg sends out another call to music lovers to visit the scenes of the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical classic, The Sound of Music.
The hills fill my heart with the sound.
Maria, what a beautiful chapel. This is the one from The Sound of Music.
Yes, this is the Nürnberg Abbey, one of the oldest churches here in town. And Maria von Trapp was brought here. She came up here and she wanted to become a nun. And as a novice, she then was sent to the house of the Baron von Trapp, to his motherless children, to look after them. And that's how the story began.
And in the movie, in this church, Maria married von Trapp. There are Sound of Music dinners, concerts and bus tours, where I found a young Aussie making a name for himself as a Sound of Music guide for panorama tours. Craig Mitchell, nicknamed locally as Mitch.
The local people in general don't know much about the Sound of Music, and for that reason they need people like us to come over and educate them about it.
And you speak German, obviously?
Yes, I've learned it in the 4 years I've been here now, so it's good to have. There's one thing I've learned out of being here in Salzberg, it's German.
Well, Mitch, this certainly looks familiar.
Yeah, well, you're dead right. This is where they finished the end of the Do-Re-Mi song.
Do, a deer, a female deer, hooray, a drop of golden dye.
Edelweiss, every morning you... The flower, Edelweiss, is a national symbol, but it grows 1,500 metres and above in the Austrian Alps. So the closest you'll ever get to seeing it is on the back of an Austrian shilling. You look happy to meet me. One of the nicest things about Austria is the pace of life. When you go into the old cafes like the Thomasina, there's no hurry. You can sit inside with a coffee and just read. Or you can sit on the balcony overlooking St. Peter's Square and just watch life go by. No one will ask you to move on. If you're looking for somewhere special to dine out, you can't go past St. Peter's Restaurant. It's had plenty of time to get its act together, nearly 1,200 years, to create a special atmosphere in very special surroundings. The management lured me into ordering one of their specialties, Knockerl, a type of egg white souffle resembling the Austrian Alps. But be warned, one serve is more than one appetite can handle. The restaurant has recently changed hands, and the new owners spent a year painstakingly restoring the old Baroque-style banquet room, which is simply stunning and is now regarded as one of the finest in Europe. Another must-see fascinating attraction just outside Salzburg is the so-called trick fountains at a place called Hellbrunn. It was created nearly 400 years ago by the ruling Prince Archbishop at the time, Marcus Sitticus, as a weekend retreat where he could entertain himself and his guests. This Prince Archbishop not only leaned heavily towards an Italian influence, having spent a lot of time in Rome, but he was also somewhat of a practical joker. If you sat down to dinner with him, a secret signal would send water spurting out of every stool except his. And he planted the lavish gardens with hidden jets of water to wet the unwary, which work as well now as then. Even sheltering under the staghorns provides no safety. Marcus Sitticus's sense of humour is everywhere, but the most fascinating thing to me is the ingenious craftsman the Prince Archbishop must have had access to. The whole complex is water-powered, even the noises in the bird-song grotto. But look at this, the mechanical water devices. Dozens of intricately carved figurines representing more than 50 occupations in a typical Austrian village 400 years ago. I really enjoyed Salzburg and I'll never forget its images. Maria Altendorfer is understandably biased about her hometown, but you know, she's right.
Of course, it's a beautiful city, and it's also the size is very nice. It's not too big, and you have so many possibilities here. You have the mountains, you can ski, and you have the lakes around the city for swimming. And then you are right in the heart of Europe. You cross the border in the north to Germany. In the south you go to Italy, you to Hungary. You have many of the countries around you.
If you feel the desire to see Salzburg yourself, make it one of your destinations when you visit Austria. The Austrian National Tourist Office in Sydney can advise you of a variety of travel and accommodation packages.
As soon as you get here, you get this romantic feeling. It's a desire to stay for a little while. Spend 3 days here. There's enough to do in 3 days that it'll fill you up to the rest of their time here, and it's a great place.